6:32, I'll call the meeting to order. Any modifications or changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Public comment. I don't see anyone here from the public. That's not on the agenda this evening. Let's review and approve minutes for the September 9th trustees meeting and the special meeting held on September 19th. Everyone's had a chance to look those over.
I was not here at the last meeting, so I recused myself from voting.
Same.
Well, if you both recuse, then you can't approve the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Should we punt it to the next?
Should we push them to the next meeting, John? What do you think?
Yeah, we can if you gotta, yeah, we can have fun.
Can we just-
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll push both.
Yeah, we'll push them both to next month. All right, NRPC representative to discuss Tier 1B Act 150 jurisdiction. That's Greta.
Yeah, Act 250 jurisdiction.
That's what I thought, okay.
Hi, Greta Brunswick. I'm a senior planner at Northwest Regional Planning. I don't know, I have a few copies of the memo that was originally sent out that I'm happy to share for, so that might be at least for the board members. Just give some broader information and I'll.
Leonard and I can share them, we can share one.
Okay. And I have some maps to go along with it too. I might as well.
I'm gonna use it.
Thank you.
So I think that I provided a brief introduction at a joint legislative body meeting about Act 181 and sort of the new regional planning framework. Act 181 was adopted last legislative session. Many parts of it took effect in July 2024. And what it did is tie regional land use planning to certain permit or to Act 250 jurisdiction, and also to the state designation program. And so those are new roles for the regional land use mapping. So in the past, the regional plan did not have that same impact. So it is exciting to be able to do that regional planning in that way and have that impact. A lot of the law was intended to address the housing crisis, the cost of housing, the rising cost of housing, and the affordability issues that our communities face, and the shortage of supply that has an impact on affordability. What I'm here to talk to you about tonight specifically is the Act 250 jurisdiction. So there are, part of the bill was considered to be like an Act 250 reform bill that has been attempted by the legislature for many, many years. And there was finally a compromise made as part of this Act 181. And so the idea is that in certain areas planned for growth and mapped on the regional future land use map, there would be certain Act 50 permit exemptions. And so the Act 250 jurisdiction is divided into what they've called different tiers. And we have tier 1A and B, which are growth areas that are eligible for certain exemptions. And then there's tier 2, which is generally everywhere else that is kind of the status quo jurisdiction. Anything over 10 units would require an Act 250 permit, and commercial development. And then the new State Land Use Review Board will be working on some rulemaking around tier 3, which would be higher priority natural resource areas that would actually have like a higher level of Act 250 jurisdiction or standard. So again, I'm here to talk to you about tier 1B specifically. The areas in Enosburg Falls that are mapped for growth. So that is the village center and the planned growth area. are eligible for Tier 1B jurisdiction. And so Tier 1B is specifically an exemption for housing projects. So that's housing projects that are 50 units or less on 10 acres or less. And it's an opt-in situation. So as you know, because you plan jointly with the town, the select board has that sort of authority to sign the resolution, but obviously all of the areas that are mapped as planned growth areas and village center are within the village. So they're looking to the village to sort of informally opt in or not. And I think that my understanding is that they want to work with you and follow suit on that. And so this map zooms in. On the other side, if you're not looking at that, the other side is a zoom in at the Enosburg Falls. One of the things that Act 181 did was create consistent future land use areas across the state. So all regional planning commissions have these exact same land use areas and they're colored the exact same way. So if you put all the maps together, it's one big uniform like future land use map, which is kind of cool for the state of Vermont. And so the purple area, the dark purple area is currently what is mapped as the village center. So you can see that the hatched area is your existing designated village center. And upon adoption of the regional plan by the Land Use Review Board, that designated village center will expand to the entire purple area. And then that purple area is also eligible for the Tier 1B Act 250 exemption. The other area that's eligible is the planned growth area, which is the area that surrounds the center. It's colored in pink. So these are areas that generally have access to wastewater or water infrastructure, complete streets infrastructure, so sidewalks, pedestrian accessibility, bike accessibility, and generally are within a distance that is walkable to the center. And one thing I will also note is that the red line here shows a quarter-mile buffer from your existing designated center. And the legislature did put into place some interim exemptions for Act 250 for housing projects specifically because the housing crisis was, happening right now. And so right now there actually are those housing exemptions, 50 units or less on 10 acres or less, do not require an Act 250 permit if they're within the red boundary of all existing designated village centers. So that's in place right now. So essentially what your community is doing when they opt in is they're deciding to continue those interim Act 250 exemptions and make them permanent. And by doing so also the boundary is adjusted from just the standard quarter-mile buffer to sort of the on-the-ground mapping that we've done based on the approved statutory criteria and mapping process. So, let's see, a few other things. I have a few other things to note, but does anyone have any questions right now?
This is just kind of the area that you're looking to extend it to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in some of these areas, but that's just basically broad stroking it right here.
So, well, there's opportunity to do any sort of infill type project. It could be a multi-unit housing project that has, so anything right now, Act 250 would be kick in after 10 units. And so this is really gonna, apply to those projects that are anything over 10. So anything over 10, it might, you could see in Enosburg Falls, a 20, 30 unit, multi-unit building that would be, if the town opts in, would then benefit from this Act 250 exemption if it's in one of these areas. So that's an example of something that could happen on in kind of like a more dense area, like on an infill lot, for example, or it could be a redevelopment. For example, if there's an existing house there that's big, and it's, restored to something to include more units.
Like the Spavenport Cure building up at the top.
That would be an example, certainly, yeah. So it doesn't have, you know, I guess maybe sometimes you might think of, you know, the standard residential subdivision, you know, in a field. And so I just, you know, that would also apply if they're in these areas, but, you know, those infill projects that are, you know, in dense areas also benefit. Did that answer your question? I don't know if I was trying.
Yeah,
understanding
yeah, a
what
little
you were
bit.
asking.
Yeah, because like, there's a lot of the areas on here, like, you know, that's half the golf course, and like, this is like
Oh, right.
Hannaford's, like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of those areas that show on here, like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we could build in here.
Yeah.
But there's really not the room for it.
And so so this is a future land use area that is intended to encompass like the full mixed use nature of these communities. And so there's public and civic uses and recreation uses that are incorporated. And so that's the planned growth area in the village center. Then those areas are also eligible for the Act 50 exemption, but it's not mapping those areas, and their definition isn't just for the purpose of the Act 50 exemption, right? It's like a, you know, like a land use area is intended to encompass all the aspects of the community. So I guess the other thing I would note is that the select board's gonna be asked to sign a municipal resolution. I can pass this around if you wanna see, it's a standard template that we're using. But there's a few things that are required in order for the community to be eligible to opt in. And that's that you have an adopted and approved municipal plan, confirmed planning process, that you have permanent zoning and subdivision, that the area excludes flood hazard and fluvial erosion or river corridor areas except those that are suitable for infill. There has to be water supply, wastewater infrastructure, or soils. In the case of Enosburg, you have the infrastructure. And then also you have to affirm that this municipality has staff, municipal officials, or contracted capacity adequate to support development review and zoning. And so there's a few criteria that are basically demonstrating that you have a zoning administrator, that you yearly budget to support administration of development regulations, that you have municipal staff and volunteers that can attend training, that the ZA and DRB regularly process applications within required timelines, and that technical assistance is available for projects that exceed normal capacity through the LCT, the RBC, and the town attorney. So these are all statutory criteria. And so by opting in, the town has to, you know, basically say all of these are true. We're attesting to this. And we as the RPC, when we submit the regional plan to the Land Use Review Board, our regional plan now goes to a new board at the state level to be approved. That's a new piece of the legislation as well. So they're also sort of looking for us to sort of demonstrate that these towns have opted in and they have met these criteria. And then on the back, it just says that you're requesting to have the following areas. So in this case, it would be the village center and the planned growth area mapped for Tier 1B status. So this is what the select board will be looking to pass. And you can keep that if you want. Sorry, I didn't bring more than one copy
I
of
feel
that.
like this was in our email.
It was probably
Did I see-
attached to the email, yeah.
I thought I saw an email earlier.
And the last thing I'll just note is just like a timing on where we are with our regional plan. So we just on the 3rd, submitted the full draft regional plan to the State Land Use Review Board as a pre-application for approval. So that's a 60-day advance notice. And so the state, that board is conducting its review of the plan, and we're going to be receiving comments through them, but also from state agencies that comment on the plan. They're going to be sending their comments to the Land Use Review Board, and we're going to receive comments. We'll have an idea, you know, the next month on any issues there might be with the plan. And so we're looking forward to hearing those and you know, hoping there's nothing major as we move into the public hearing process. The first public hearing we're looking at for the plan is going to be December 11th. And so we're going to be noticing that in a few weeks. And then we're looking to adopt the plan hopefully by the end of February. And after that, we're going to the Land Use Review Board for final approval. So by the spring, April, May time, we're thinking that that's when these, the Act 250 jurisdiction status and also the new state designations would become effective. One thing I also will note is that the Land Use Review Board is planning a site visit as part of their 60-day advance review. That's going to be Thursday, November 13th. I'm not sure that we're going to be bringing them out to Enosburg because the mapping is kind of, there's nothing like, it's kind of pretty straightforward here, and I think that everything here is going to get approved and there's not really any questions about it. But anyway, I just wanted you to know that there will, and that hearing will be at a physical location in St. Albans as well. And so that's going to be for the 2-county region, so St. Albans ends up being a little bit more central. So I think I have covered everything. And so I don't know what the select board, if you coordinated with the chair, Dean, at all about like what they're looking for, if they're looking for like a motion that you would support the opt-in or not.
I believe the way I talked to Billy and Joe is they were just gonna sign off on the jurisdiction, but then we had some questions from trustees, so that's where we had you
Right.
come tonight, and if I don't know if it need a motion to say that we.
Nothing from you is needed, no,
Right.
only.
It's in their hands, they just.
Right, like you could make, if you wanted to, you could make a motion, like you support the select board's decision to opt in or something along those lines, or you would support the opt-in process if the select board so made that
Yeah.
decision or something.
I mean, I remember Dean saying that that if for some reason we had concerns, they would listen to them, but if we don't, they're just gonna
Right.
sign off on it and move on.
Right. I mean, have we done a review at all on like the water and wastewater infrastructure? Like where are we at with our cap? And then where are we expected to
That's
be if they put a lot of?
The cap's a fluctuating number,
Right.
so I mean, each project would have to be
Approved
on
by
a
us.
project by project basis.
So that.
Right, so we would still have say over projects that come in to the
Okay,
village.
so this is just saying they can do it, we could just say no.
Right, that
They don't have the
they don't have to do all the
applications.
Act 250.
If you, right, if you don't have the water.
I mean, if someone comes in tomorrow,
The
it's just.
wastewater.
Saving the developers and
Locals-
staff and
Yeah, so the local zoning is still effective, and this is just speaking to Act 250 permitting and does not take away any of the other local jurisdiction for local zoning and subdivision regulations, and also for the wastewater allocations, and also for any other state permits that might apply, so stormwater or wetlands or kind of potable water and wastewater supply permitting, so all of those have to apply. I think it's just intended for those areas that are planned for growth. A lot of times, the Act 50 can, be a, additional permit looking at many of those same things. So it helps incentivize housing projects in those areas that are already planned for growth. To not have to go through that extra permitting step that can take time and money. So yeah, that's why. And so yes, if your wastewater was, if you didn't have the capacity or whatever reason, your ordinance was not,
Right.
if you can't issue a wastewater permit for a particular project, then they're not going to be able to move forward, despite the exemption.
I think it sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think it would probably be good for just future boards if we had some sort of a motion saying that we've heard it and we're good with it.
So we'll take a motion to agree that the town sign off on the Tier 1B Act 250 jurisdiction that the NRPC put together? I'm trying to figure
I
out
would
how
just
to word
say,
it.
I would just say the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't need
Act-
jurisdiction.
Tier 1B to clarify, and you can clarify for all eligible areas.
So take a motion to accept the Tier 1B, or that the town accept the Tier 1B for all eligible areas.
Make the motion.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we got you. Leonard, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. We have Betsy Dormany requesting the waiver of late fees on her account.
Thank you, Greta.
So again, the question was, Ms. Dormany was questioning because she has multiple accounts, my understanding, and she filed for one to run a new billing process, but didn't identify that I guess it's just simply pushing a button to join all the other accounts together, and didn't fail to do that part of it, and lost track, and then that's the reason for the late fees, for late fee. I guess the thought was to bring it back in front of the board because we just fairly recently had something like this, so.
It's
So, yeah.
well,
oh,
I'm
sorry.
sympathetic to her situation. If we start giving people credit on their late fees all the time, then we're gonna have to give everybody credit for their
Agreed.
late fees. We're starting a precedent.
Also, I mean, is somebody here to aid people and assist people in doing this here? Like, do we have people around to help? Or
Yeah, when she came down, we went a little above and beyond to make sure she was set.
okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah, we've had to help with the new billing software. There's been some questions, and the ladies have handheld a few people to help them through and make sure that
okay,
they had it right.
So it wasn't an error from the system?
no,
No.
Yeah.
I agree with Eli. We don't want to.
You're starting to set a precedent if you start giving people credit for their late fees. So.
Which would bring us back around to a few months ago, which.
Right. So unfortunately, at this point, I don't think we can. All right. Number 6, John Abbott to be appointed as an alternate to the VSPC board.
So, I'll just read this real quick, and then I'll give you the possible motion. So Vermont System Planning Committee, basically it's through VEPSA, is a collaborative process established in 2007 for addressing electrical grid reliability planning. Its purpose to ensure all options to solve grid reliability issues get full, fair, and timely consideration in the most cost-effective solution. All distribution utilities hold membership on the committee, us being one of them, as well as other entities such as managers and so forth on this committee. However, they want to acknowledge appointing an alternate as well. So John Abbott worked for VEPSA, so he would essentially be the alternate for. So VEPSA has offered to all members that its regulatory staff person, John Abbott, is available to serve as an alternate to the DUs with interest in appointing him. So everybody has to, all 12 of us through VEPSA, through the DUs, have to appoint him to give him, just basically an alternate to sit on this board. It is with my view that it makes a good deal of sense, both to assure as we have someone representing us and learning about what VSCP meetings has the priority. So the motion would be to move to appoint John Abbott as an alternate representative to the Vermont System Planning Committee on behalf of Enosburg Village.
Anybody opposed to the motion as it was put forth? So we'll take somebody to accept the motion, and we'll take a second.
Let's accept the motion.
Accept the motion.
Your second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Heather and Leonard. All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Now, since Sean's here, do we want to skip to number 10?
We can? John, can you hear us? Nope, we can't hear you. How about now?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Sorry I couldn't make it in person. I was hoping to go in person, but my car did not cooperate today. I'm Sean with the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. Spent the better part of the year helping John and Heather and a few other folks from the village to put together a hazard mitigation plan for the village of Enosburg Falls. Basically the long and short of it is it will save the town money if there is a presidential declared disaster by meeting some of the state's Emergency Relief Assistance Fund Act. When there's a presidentially declared disaster, there's the municipalities are eligible for receiving public assistance funding back from the state for roads, bridges repair, infrastructure repair. There's a 25% local match that usually goes along with the federal reimbursement. By having your hazard mitigation plan in place, having roads, codes, and standards, an emergency management plan, and being an active member of the National Flood Insurance Program, which you are, reduces that 25% local match down to 12.5%. So that's a huge saving, especially given some of the scale of the economics of disasters that have occurred in Vermont in the past few summers. And that's for just public assistance funding. The electric department falls under another category. So the electric department has its own set of, during a presidential disaster declaration, they follow another set of public assistance for recouping costs from the storms. So we had this planning process in place. We finally went, there were some changes at the state level. There were some rule changes. I think there were 3 rule changes with the changeover in the administrations. There was even some question whether or not FEMA would be around to approve their plan. We had to follow their planning process. By the time it all got entangled, it took about 2 years, and we're finally at the finish line. So the states reviewed the plan. We put the plan out for public comment, did our fair share of outreach, and we checked all the boxes after some back and forth, John, I would say. There was quite a few details that they wanted that we tried to meet what the federal requirements were. Often with these plans, what I find is the people that are reviewing them are they're not familiar with Vermont or the Northeast, and you could get someone from Louisiana who's never seen snow and not understand why there's so much emphasis on winter storms. So it's a journey doing this plan. So we're finally at the finish line, and if the select board chooses to adopt the plan tonight, then the trustees choose to adopt the plan tonight, then that'll be a good thing. Get the plan sent to FEMA, then they'll send you a letter saying they officially accept it, and then your ERAF rate kicks in, and you'll be eligible for mitigation grants in the future. So the mitigation grants cover, road work, ditching, culverts, bridges, upgrades, residential buyouts, property buyouts, a whole host of things. There was a lot of mitigation funding available following the two summer storms that occurred recently, and I don't think the storms are going away anytime soon. So, anything else, John, that you can think of?
No, I mean, I think it was, the timing is right, because I was at Town Fair last week, and it sounds like some funding for helping of towns and villages is going away, so we got this done under the radar or right in time, so.
Yeah, some's going away, and then I heard last night, it looks like they might get some additional mitigation funding. State is eligible from, I think, the 2024 flooding, statewide flooding. So even though when there's a presidential disaster declaration for the state, even though nothing may have occurred in the village or the town, just because you guys were spared from the disaster, you're still eligible for applying for the mitigation money that comes from the disaster. There's usually I think it's a percentage of funding overall from the disaster statewide. Percentage gets sent back to the state as well for part of mitigation funding, and that's like preventative work, stuff some upgrades that you want to do before the storm hits to public infrastructure. And I heard last night that the state is hoping to get another round of mitigation funding coming in sometime early 2026. So the village would be eligible for applying for that.
Any part of the dam covered? Is any part of the dam covered under that? Because of the strong waters and things like that? Oh, yeah, this one, our dam. The only reason I say that is because we had that significant amount of water, and we're talking about the mitigation for it. I mean, we had a lot more stress cracks in there and fixed than we had originally expected. Like, does that help cover some of that?
I'm not sure, I haven't thought about it, but I don't think it does, no.
Okay. That's on the second.
I'm not sure, and even though we came up with a list of actions in the plan, and even though when you apply for, if you want to take a shot at a mitigation grant for doing some project that you've identified, even though it's not in the plan, you can still apply for it. Just because it's not listed doesn't mean you can't apply for the funding anyway. I don't know how they score each of the applications, but you might get a little, I don't know if they weight them if you've already included that. If you said if you wanted to do property buyouts, for example, and you mentioned them in your plan, I don't know if that scores you extra points for getting funding or getting the grant. I'm not sure. I haven't been part of that grant selection committee.
I mean, it may go towards the dam or crest gates, but not hydros.
Right. That's a separate thing.
Yeah, that would, I think hydro. It would also, what's good is it does what the state's been really good about doing too with some of the recent rounds of mitigation. They've got a program. They brought in some technical expertise to help with having engineering done for projects. They've been able to use some of the funding that's been coming in to help, because the engineering can be, as you know, $10,000 at least in cost for some of these projects. So just do some design work. So I know that a few towns have, I think Montgomery was one town that was able to take advantage of that recently. I think it was Montgomery, I may be wrong. So that's good. That's a bonus. That's something new that they did right before the change in administration. And that carried over into the new administration.
So the process, Sean, would be,
Motion to accept.
what you have it right here, how it's written, and then we sign off. Do I sign this or does Eli?
Looks like.
Yeah, a motion to adopt, seconded and all that, and then that's the, probably, I don't know, trustees chair or village manager. I think they both think either or. Usually they have the town clerk do the secondary signature on it.
So I could sign it and then John could sign it as attested by.
Yeah, and then I don't know why, I think, I don't know why they have, the bottom line included. A lot of the towns just got rid of that approved as to form. That's usually attorney speak. They usually have like town attorneys sign it, but you don't need to do that. Like a lot of towns they drop that in the adoption page. So that's usually something that an attorney would sign. But you could have the town clerk sign it instead. That would probably work.
Okay.
I think that would work. Yeah, have the town clerk where it says approved as to form by, just have the town clerk sign it, or the village clerk. I'm sorry.
Any other questions for Sean?
We don't have.
Is there any future requirements for stockhold list that we need to worry about now, or?
No, it's more of a, there's not.
Okay.
No.
It's a plan that we will work towards.
It's basically what the plans do after due every 5 years. I mean, you get the letter from FEMA that'll say, well, the clock starts ticking for the next year. And then I think for the village and for every municipality, there's like a maintenance schedules for the plan. And I think we put in, like, when you review your emergency management plan that you do every spring, that'll be the same time that you look at the hazard mitigation plan to check that box, or immediately following a disaster, or in the months or weeks following a disaster, maybe like look at it again and see if there's anything you want to change in it or update. That's what FEMA wants, and I'll just leave it at that. What the reality is, just have to look at it again until it's due. Start the process again, but.
All right. So
Any other questions? All right, so we'll take a motion to adopt the Enosburg Falls Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025.
I'll make a motion.
Heather moved.
Second.
Jason seconded. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thanks for coming tonight, Sean.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
thanks, Sean.
All right, we'll scoop to number 7. Library is asking about 2-hour parking or library-only car parking across the street from the library. I have seen the white car with the custom paint job parked there regularly. I assume the area they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only going to solve tonight by means, or unless we make suggestions here on these 2-hour parkings. Seems like there's some useful chairs because I guess there's some folks that are now living up over the restaurant, Bumblebee. And they've been parking more on that side of the street. However, supposedly the old flower shop, they've redone the parking lot out back for their tenants. So some of those folks are now off the street, at least they're in the back. I just noticed today there's a truck, looks like it's broken down, that's sitting there. So
The back tire is very soft.
yeah, we can
There's
probably
some stuff hanging out from underneath
Yeah.
it too.
So we probably address that vehicle. But I guess the overall, I mean, just like a lot of small, tight areas, villages and cities and whatever, we've had a few other comments or suggestions. Of course, the food shelf now is backed up because of the kids at the career center. There's a lot of kids that come from out of town are parking right there along the park. But that was one thought or ask that Brenda had. She didn't think she know how far to go, but she just thought she'd ask if there's anything to be done there. I mean, there's a fire hydrant there, so it limits the parking. I think it's just 2 spots. Maybe 3.
A lot of people go to the library, and there is not a lot of parking. You see a lot of people park across the way by the pizza place or the restaurant that used to be there. You see a lot of people try to park out behind the hairdressers, things like that. It's just not a lot of parking there.
And the concern is it's a majority of the clientele are either seniors,
Right.
and or children, families with children.
Right.
So a little bit harder to navigate traffic maybe.
Not immediate future, but when the town building goes away, if they ever get over here, I know they planned on opening that up to a grassy area. Would it be possible to include a little of parking there?
It's their property.
Yeah,
That's
that was
town
one of the
property.
suggestions that came up. I know, if I'm remembering my conversation correctly, Brenda didn't really want to increase parking there for safety for
Right.
the people that would be using the grassy area.
Okay.
But I don't, but that conversation's well over a year old, so I don't know if any other thoughts have happened.
Is there anything behind there, any access behind there people can try to use, or?
I mean, it's
I
been
know
brought up
there's a
before.
walkway, there's a walkway that goes through
Yeah, I mean, Church Street.
Church
You
Street,
can park on Church Street and walk through.
right, which is something a lot of people probably don't know about, if there is parking there. I
Generally.
don't go down there a lot down Church Street, but I know there is a little path that goes through there.
There is,
From Maple
yeah,
Street,
it's just
so if
not
there
great
was-
if the weather's not good and it's not well lit.
Right.
It holds
But they're not
petals.
people aren't crossing the street or walking
Right, yeah. Yeah,
from
we
half a
definitely-
mile.
We
I
could
know
put up
parking
2-hour
garage.
parking signs, but there's nobody to enforce it.
Right,
So you could hope that people would use their own recognizance, but
right.
how many people would?
We could add them to that little section there. And we stopped them at the graveyard, that corner.
Do we have any more?
I don't think we ordered extra, no, I think we ordered what we needed.
So I
Because
know
actually,
the library does have sub programs that are longer than 2 hours though. But obviously if they're there and they're trying to use it for that, then it could be a difference. But if you
Again, it would
say,
be kind of your own recognizance
Right.
situation.
right,
We're gonna have to put up meters.
I'm not opposed to trying a
Put up-
2-hour parking sign.
right,
I mean,
try it.
are they very expensive?
I don't know, I'd have to ask, I don't think they're a ton, no. I mean, to save money last time, remember, we were gonna put them like every spot, but to save maneuvering around them with piles and stuff, and then cost, we just put them,
With arrows, 2 of 1 on each end.
yeah, so maybe just be 2, basically.
So would this be across the street?
Yeah,
But
so
because there's
across the
spots close to the library on the same side of the street.
The north side of
Would that
it.
be better to do them so that there's no crossing the street?
I mean,
I don't
could
know.
we just,
I'm not sure why this suggestion for the cross the street versus right next to.
I think is they're recently more
I think there's, yeah.
for permanent parking as opposed to,
If you drive by in the afternoons, there's at least one specific car that's there every day for all the day.
yeah, I think traditionally it's been more rotating of people going to clerk or the library or something.
Right.
Now it seems like it's,
More consistent
yeah.
It's very
to a
consistent.
single vehicle.
So
Single
it's not
vehicle.
necessarily like the parking per se as it is a vehicle or 2 that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's at least one vehicle, I would say. But I think the hopes are if you put up 2-hour parking signs, they won't park there for days. Do we have enough money to buy a couple signs and try it?
It's a couple $100, right? Like 150 or
I
something.
didn't look
Ballpark
at it.
that.
I'd have to look at it.
A sign and a pole.
What say anyone?
So you want two,
Could split it
one
with the
by
town.
the house?
Sorry?
Could split it with the town.
Put one on either end of that
Section.
two lot.
It's just two.
Two spots.
Two spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a try. It's not like you can't pull those and put them elsewhere if they don't work there.
Right. All right, so I guess,
Which they kind of, I mean, they kind of do work, because that's why a lot of kids don't park on Stebbins Street. Because
Right.
we have signs there. We don't have any on the first part of Cisco Way. And that's where Big Parks.
Have you had any conversations with the principals this school year? Because it's all
I-
new administration at the high school. Like
I
it-
haven't emailed me yet. Somebody else was going to ask him as well. Because again, my understanding is all the career center kids.
Okay. Okay, I was curious, like, if it's any of just the high school students too, just the non-career students. And like I said, it's principal, assistant principal, they're all new, so they wouldn't have had these conversations before.
Yeah.
They might not be aware of any challenges. And the students go to both Enosburg and Ridgeford, so Nate's their principal at Old Hollow, but then
Right.
they have Enosburg High School principal is also their principal.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah, Richford. And I've heard there's some kids from Fairfax and
Yeah, they would be coming from other places too,
Yeah.
potentially. So yeah.
back to the issue at hand. Are we buying a couple signs and putting them across the street from the library?
Sure.
Yeah, we can give it a try.
If it's there, if the funding is available.
yeah, I'm sure you budget.
All right, so we'll take a motion to buy 2 signs and put them in the 2 parking spaces across the street from the library.
Motion.
Lisa moved,
Second.
Leonard seconded. All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
So I will find out in the budget if we can do it now. If not, we're budgeting for next year.
Either way, we'll get them in.
Okay.
ATV ordinance. Set a public comment meeting date.
So I just put it back on here. I don't know where, I mean, we haven't had any representation from opposed or for since this summer. I don't know if you folks want to keep pushing the issue or just wait it out, see if somebody comes screaming again, or how you want to do it. In the last, I know, I missed the September meeting, but the idea was to put a public comment out there, meeting together to put public comment for it. I know on the 19th, the meeting I wasn't here for September, they're starting to get some questions. I mean, on the ordinance itself, I would say the ordinance itself is pretty well complete and legally. I mean, it's been edited by our village lawyer and so forth, so the verbiage is pretty well. I guess the question would be to or not to, and or one portion that would probably be still is the math. If there's people have questions on that. Again, I don't know on the fee, because I know you'd asked about the Bakersfield. I put that information together for the 19th. But if that was another part you want to write in the ordinance, if we did that whole $10 fee or whatever. But other than that, I guess that's where we're at the point of move on or not, or let it do a public comment. And again, I think I try to speak in on the 19th, but I do have, if we do go that direction, I do have that Benoit person that was the head of VASA for Northwestern Vermont. I don't remember his exact title. The Hungerford, the game warden, said if he couldn't make it, he'll definitely have a game warden here. For other folks that would come and, I guess, speak to it. Because I know you'd asked that.
Yeah, I think that the community needs to weigh in. I just, again, when I talk to people, and I know I don't talk to everybody, but people are very concerned about moving forward with an ordinance without police enforcement. It's not necessarily just about the ordinance, it's about added vehicles on the road, and we're seeing a continued uptick of those vehicles on the road right now. If we did move forward with that, it would be very good for people to be able to weigh in and have conversations about it.
We have the ordinance drafted. We have the option. We could wait until something is decided with police coverage.
That would definitely make some people feel a lot better like just even knowing that there would be, you know, where we are at with that.
I mean, we can also, I mean, the public meeting is good. You can get people from both sides, you know, not just like the heads of it.
Right.
You know, you can actually have a discussion with everybody, and at this point in the year, it's
pretty well done.
pretty much well done.
Yeah.
So it really wouldn't be any much of a difference till spring anyway. So there's nothing to hurt putting something together with the wardens there talking about, because that is our police coverage as of this point for the most part.
For, at least for this activity.
Yeah. In my opinion.
Should we push
All the
something
pieces
out
are there. We
Right.
just have to pick
We
a
really
date.
want to get as many people's input as we can.
Right.
We want to push something to like April. We do our annual meeting in March.
Yeah,
Again,
through the budgeting season.
I don't care per se, but I mean, it'd be nice if the folks that were for it, because again, I mean, they're talking, when they came in, what, June of this summer?
Well, that's why I was feeling April. I'm not sure when the trails reopen for the spring,
May 1st.
May 1st. So if you
And
can
each
get,
town picks different times.
so if you can get the people thinking about, okay, it's time to take my side-by-side, my ATV out,
Right.
you're more in tune with that. You're not going into the time where you're gonna put the thing away
Putting
for
it
a
away
while.
for the year.
Well, it's a 60-day process,
Right,
if it all goes smoothly.
which isn't the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I was one of those folks, I'd try to do it through the winter time, so you're ready for the spring, but that's.
Yeah,
So maybe something a little earlier is what you're recommending?
I don't care, whatever.
John will do it whenever.
And
We could do January, February. I mean, just like Heather was saying, though, we're coming into budget season.
Yeah, that's gonna,
It
there's gonna
might
be some
an-
lifting to do. in the
An
next
extended
couple
amount of
months.
time to set budgets.
I mean, the way they spoke, we shouldn't really have anything to budget, right? I mean,
No, but just extra meetings and
Yeah.
more time. And
Yeah.
You're awful quiet. What do you think?
I think you don't want to go too far because these guys, they want to start riding around earlier in the year. You don't want to put it off.
Right, but I mean, like Lori said, May 1st is when
Yeah,
you can do it.
so
But we can't really, I don't think we should
That's
really
when
do
it
it in
opens.
March. 'Cause that's our-
February,
well, we could do something in February.
get it going, just February.
Do a public meeting in February. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
So
because after the public meeting, how long is it going to take?
if it passes,
If it
it's 60
passes
days.
60 days.
Another 60 days after that. That's what I'm getting at.
Are you doing a public meeting or a public vote?
Public meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
I had passed through, one of my suggestions was a vote, a public meeting and then a public vote. But at the very least, we at least landed on a public meeting.
Right.
Or if it's a public vote, you do that in March. I mean,
You put it on the ballot with all the
Yeah.
other stuff. I mean, we could decide that in February if
Good.
there's enough days to warn it,
Because
right?
again,
How
like
many times do you have to warn?
I don't know.
I don't know that either.
I think
Yeah.
it's,
to warn the vote,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's February. So it's 45 days.
Yeah, I'd have to get out the,
Yeah, I think it's,
because it would be the
80%
same
sure
time
it's
we have to
45
warn
days.
everything else. So.
yeah.
So how about we hold off a little bit till we have more direction about police coverage and then we can kind of move forward with setting a date.
And if we do that, we might be 3 years down the road.
Unless you know something we don't.
Right. Should we
Are you
revisit
happy?
it in January? That would give us enough time to set a date, and if we decide to vote on it at annual meeting, that would give us a 45-day warning window.
Yeah.
All right, so let's make a note somewhere to revisit the ATV thing in January.
Just at our normal meeting.
Yeah. Yep, and we can set our public meeting, and as for the paying the extra fee, we talked about that a little bit, but again, it's more work for the ladies in the office to try to keep track of, and give out stickers. It's comes down to enforcement again. Who's gonna verify that everybody riding through the village has these stickers on their machines?
Is that something
And they
you
already
could
have
do
to
with
be
the
VASA
online
members.
They
billing?
already have to be VASA members.
It'd be totally separate.
I don't think we should do the extra fee, but that's just me personally.
And if we find out that it is worth it, budget-wise later on, it's not like you can't revisit it.
Right. All right, let's move on to number 9. Assistant treasurer, would there be a stipend?
Well, maybe I'll talk this a little bit. So, and as we looking for an assistant treasurer, I guess in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, that it's been
It's always been a village employee that took on extra responsibility and there was no added wages. Which made sense because you're appointed by the clerk or the treasurer. So it was always Liza, who was Psyche's predecessor, or myself. But there wasn't a lot of support from management at that time. And a high expectation that just because one was appointed, they knew all the rules and regulations. So those of us in the office opted out and no longer chose to be appointed. So I just wanted John to bring it to, because if we're gonna do that route, then I think there needs to be a decision before that person's appointed, if it is an outside member.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, do we have any idea what other munis do?
I don't. I think other munis, those positions are far more active than what our clerk and treasurer positions are, correct? Because that's like Billy Joe that works at a capacity that's running a whole office and everything versus the current clerk,
Right.
you know, runs our elections, runs that type
Definitely
of
does some
stuff.
important stuff, but not
Yeah.
a full-time job.
Maybe an hour a week signing checks and going to the bank and doing other stuff. So don't know as if the assistant clerk would have a lot of responsibility unless the clerk wasn't available.
Right.
Just wondering if it's like, would be a flat out stipend or if it would be per diem kind of, I don't know, that overcomplicates it or not.
The clerk position is $62.50 a week, and that's a stipend position.
Yeah, my mind was going like, well, if they had to step in for the clerk, does
Right.
that change for them? Like, would they get X amount for being the assistant
HR2?
clerk? But if they're stepping in, does that increase?
I don't know, and I didn't look at statutes or anything like that.
Swanton's set up very similarly to us in the way the village is run.
Yeah, they're very fortunate. Diane, who is a village employee, is also the clerk. But I don't know if she's allowed to do clerk duties while she's a village employee, or if that's done outside of her village employee hours, and if there's a different pay rate associated with that. That's a good question.
And if she has an assistant, right?
Yeah,
Because
I
we're
don't
worried
know
about
the
the
answer to that.
assistant mostly. I guess that would be what I'd check into. Maybe check with them and see how they, or if they pay their assistant
I'm in
treasurer.
favor of compensation.
Oh, I am too.
For me, it's just a question of
What does it
makes
entail?
sense, yeah.
If we appoint some, it's not like 6250 is a large number a week. If we appoint assistant clerk at $40 a week, but they go years without doing anything, I don't know. It's like you want to get a little bit back for the money you're paying. I guess, yeah, I'd like to check, see how Swanton works. We'll start there. If that's,
Also maybe a list of those duties and responsibilities to make sure like the compensation is where it needs to be if we're gonna have them.
So it's state statute. There aren't job descriptions for clerks, right?
Gotcha.
So Billy Joe operates under state statute, and your clerk and your treasurers, they're state statutes. Even you folks don't have job descriptions, it's state statute. So it would basically be what the clerk assigns the assistant clerk or treasurer to do, that falls within state statutes.
Guess we
Or
need
could
to
say,
look at those.
you do my job and I'm gonna go home.
Which my understanding is
Right.
the treasurer would pick the assistant. You
Yeah.
folks wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious what Swanton pays or if they pay.
Okay.
And that would be an assistant. I mean, I have to try to find if somebody has an assistant, maybe they don't have an assistant.
Right.
Right.
They might not. So
Yeah,
we have-
because we haven't had an assistant clerk.
been a fair amount of time.
We were at the other office
Right.
when I bowed out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get some managers' minutes.
Alright. So just an update on the sidewalk project, the new one out to the EMS building. The state was not happy with the corner of J-View and Elm on the village side, so they're gonna be out there correcting that. The plates weren't put in properly, they didn't expand far enough, so they have to fix that. So they should be mobilizing and fixing that fairly soon. And then that will be done. Check that box off. Billing system update, AMI integration. Provide a lot of opportunities. Right now, we're working through the water meters. We have actually, well, kudos to Lady Psyche, Lori, and Abby. And Psyche really got down and dirty trying to track some folks down, but we basically had we're at 100% implementation. There's like 2 houses that are basically vacant, and we have it flagged that whenever they go back in there and start renovating, that they gotta come get a water meter and an MTU from us. But other than that, we had 100%. Basically, we'll have them all installed.
Question on water meters.
Yeah.
The golf course buys some water from us. How is that set up?
That's gonna.
Is that gonna be a manual read still?
That meter is, because we just put that in.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we were gonna set up some sort of.
No, because it comes in,
Right.
it comes out because it's not.
Yeah.
I've never seen it physically, but I think because it could freeze, it's not.
Yeah, no, it comes out in the winter.
Yeah.
Just making a note, that probably should be removed because they close Wednesday.
So yeah, we're working on finishing up programming them all, and we just had a little training today where we can see them and so forth. It is kind of cool. It shows events and so forth, so we can see if one's offline, if it's not working. Showed negative water, so that we kind of make sure raise a flag of why it had a section of time when there's negative water
0.10 gallons. He said it was pressure kind of pushing back.
pushing back.
If they have a pressure tank, it's possible.
Yeah, something pushing the water back through.
It's not supposed to, but it's possible.
So yeah, that's gonna be cool once we can pull up a map and see all that stuff. So it might help us find leaks and so forth if there's high usage in like 3 homes or whatever in an area. So that's the billing, and then power meters. We did send out already to town, and it's on our website. We talked about it at open house. About our power meters. We had the state made us, because again, we're regulated much more heavily on the power side. So the state, we basically had to have 60 days to notify customers that we're going to be installing meters. We're not making appointments. We are just going to be putting door tags for whatever road. If it's Orchard Street, we have 2 or 3 days before, we're going to go plaster that with door tags saying we're going to be out, we're swapping your meter. Power's gonna be out 15 minutes on this date. And then we go back on that date and we swap meters. There is an opt-out process that you can do. So if somebody wanted to opt out, they could. But they gotta notify us that they wanna do that. But those will start going in hopefully the middle of November. So. The manhole slip lining started today. I don't know if anybody saw them on Elm in Maine, but that was
Several times.
that was the project that was left over from last year that they're supposed to come back and finish the slip lining of the manholes. They did all the lines, but they do the manholes. And then they're doing some work on Pleasant and Missisquoi as well. So that's underway. Open house went fairly well. We did have some folks come through. We had, I would say, of the folks that came through, actually, I would say 50% of them were just tourists that were in the area for the Harvest Fest.
Small town stuff.
Some people from out of state, some people from, just out of the area, but from Vermont. So, they got to walk around. They gave them some tours and stuff. So, but overall, went fairly good. Dam removal is pretty much done. I mean, the dam's gone up at the reservoir. It's a stream now. It's a brook, trout brook's coming down through. The only thing left, I have a meeting. We were off Monday, so we don't have a meeting until Thursday. The only thing left is just up from the dam. There's one more section that they're supposed to take out, but it was the wettest section. So they've been struggling trying to get that out of there. But then that will be done, and then all they'll have basically left is plantings. They have already bulldozed and flattened, so they put all the sediment up by the
Clover and apple trees, or
yeah.
It's been some discussion of relocation of beavers.
Yeah. So that's where that's at. Park permits, just asked that if I could give you a heads up on ones I approved. So I approved a Legion for Veterans Day and a group that's doing Tai Chi in the park on Thursdays. So if you're interested. And if it's a little drizzly, they're gonna be on the bandstand.
Are they planning to go all winter?
No, I think
I was gonna say.
I think it was through October. Maybe depending on the weather, maybe in November. And then other than that, we had an insurance review. It went fairly well. I guess one notable thing that kudos to Lori, she's our SOS, Safety Officer Lori Stanley. So our workers' comp went down from like 119,000 we had in 2022. And in 2025, we're at $278. So our working comp has dropped dramatically, and then next year, when everything stays smooth as it's been saying, that 2022 year will drop off. So our insurance.
It went from $119,000 to $278.
Year over year, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I didn't think my brain was comprehending those numbers correctly.
yeah. Well, you did. A little scary. So I just wanted to point that out. So it's a big huge improvement.
yeah.
I think that's all I had. Yeah.
Anyone got any other business?
Oh, yes,
Nope.
I'm sorry. Or no. We did hire, that's what we all know, right?
Pre-employment hasn't happened.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll wait on that then.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other business?
I don't have any.
Going once, going twice? All right, I'll take a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations in which premature public knowledge may compromise the position of the municipality.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved by Heather, seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There, that's
We shall be in executive.